This is the Jamboard practice assignment for 3-5 Part 2 on graphing linear equations in slope-intercept form. So just a reminder, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. The m value, which is the number in front of x, represents the slope. And remember, the slope is rise over run. Vertical change over the horizontal change. The b value indicates the y-intercept. So this will be the point 0b. So with each of these equations, they're all already in slope-intercept form. We're going to identify the slope, identify the y-intercept, and then the next steps for graphing is we'll plot the y-intercept, and then we'll graph as many points as we can using the slope. So for number 2, y equals 4/3 x minus 2. The slope is 4 over 3, and the y-intercept is -2. This means that the y-intercept is at the point 0, -2. So we start there first, graph the y-intercept, and then count out the slope to find your next point. So we're going to go up 4 units and to the right 3. That yellow line is not part of the line. I'm just using it to show my directions that I'm taking to get to the next point. We can do that again. We can go up 4 units to the right 3. In addition, we can also move down 4 units to the left 3 from the y-intercept. For a positive slope, you need either one positive direction and either both positive directions or both negative directions. So now we're ready to graph this line. We're going to connect the points and extend with arrows. For number 4, the slope is -3, so we'll write that as -3 over 1. And the b value, which is the y-intercept, is 6, which means the first point we'll graph is the point 0, 6. Rise over run, so -3 over 1. So we'll go down 3 units to the right 1 and graph our next point on our line. Remember, try to graph as many points that can fit on the coordinate plane. Down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. So now we've graphed as many points as we can possibly fit. So we're ready to graph the line by connecting and extending with arrows. For number 6, the slope, the m value is 1 over 4. The y-intercept, the b value, is at -3. So the first point that we'll plot on our graph is the point 0, -3. From there, we'll graph our next point by using the slope, which is 1 over 4. So we'll go up 1 unit to the right 4 and make that point. From the y-intercept, I can also move down 1 unit to the left 4. Positive slope, either both directions need to be positive or both directions need to be negative, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Last one, number 8. The slope is -1, which we'll express that as -1 over 1. The y-intercept is -6. So the first point on our graph will be 0, -6. From here, we want to plot the next point by using the slope. A negative slope needs one positive direction and one negative direction. So we'll go up 1 to the left 1. up one to the left one. And you can follow this pattern and graph as many points that can fit on the coordinate plane. Once you have finished graphing a line, you want to make sure that the line you graphed has the correct sign slope. So number two is an increasing line, and in fact the slope was positive. You can also use a little man on the far left side. If he has to climb, that means that the line you graphed is positive, and the slope for number 2 is positive. The slope for number 4 is negative, and in fact the slope is negative. The slope for number 6 that we graphed is positive, and the slope is positive. The slope of the line we graphed is negative for number 8, and in fact the slope was negative. The other way you can do a quick check to make sure that you graphed an equation correctly is by checking the steepness of the line. The higher the slope, the steeper the line. So for example, number 4, that's a really steep line, and -3 is a pretty high slope. Whereas number 6, that's not as steep of a line, and the slope is 1/4. That's it for the Jamboard practice assignment on 3-5 Part 2, graphing linear equations in slope-intercept form.